and welcome to Rheumatoid Diaries, or welcome back if you've watched them before. I talk about rheumatoid arthritis and kind of what goes with it because, as I said in one of my videos, rheumatoid isn't really arthritis. Arthritis is a symptom of rheumatoid disease, which is an autoimmune disease. So you can refer back to my other videos if you want to hear more about that. I said in my last video towards the end that I had been through a lot of surgeries that I wanted to talk about recently, like recent surgeries. I've had 5 surgeries in just over a year. And this is what arthritis does to you. And, in part playing catch up because of everything that's been going on, and our medical system up here is very, very bad. So anyway, many years ago, I mentioned in another video that I had lost my bladder. So that was a very first major surgery I had. I had a couple others years ago too that I won't really mention in this one. What I want to talk about is I had bone spurs in my big toe joints caused by arthritis. So the doctor went, conservative first with having the bone spurs removed, which is called a chelectomy. I knew in my knower with at least one foot that it wasn't going to do it for me from the beginning. It just hurt enough that I knew it was bad, and I don't know if anybody else experiences this. Let me know in the comments if you do, but my test results never show how severe things are. Like, my right toe was severe, and the x-rays only showed that it was mild. So the surgeon was surprised when he went in. I ended up having 2 bone spurs instead of 1 that showed in the x-rays removed. Only 1 showed in the x-rays. And then as I was recovering from that one, I got a call to have my other foot done. And I kind of knew we should have gone to the most permanent option right away. But the doctor never really gave me a choice, the surgeon, so I just went with what he said. So yeah, I'm recovering from one, getting surgery on the other one. And it was fun. And then I kind of started to notice that, my first foot, my right foot, it was still hurting when I walked. And the hurt was not going away, and it was not going away. And so I'm like, oh boy. As I'm recovering with my other foot, I think they were 5.5 weeks apart, so it was that close together. I was barely walking on one, maybe not even fully walking on one before I got the other one done. And then, so when we got to the point where, a few weeks in, where you can kind of know where you're at, basically we discovered that the chelectomies didn't help at all. And not only did they not help, but already in my right foot, bone spurs were starting to form again. So then it was on to full fusion. And to make this shorter, I had full fusions, like on both toes, back to back as well. I'm actually still recovering from one right now. I'm 8 weeks out from it. I'm going to circle back to that in a minute because there's one other surgery I want to talk about, and there's some things that happened along the way that I want to talk about. So I'm going to circle back to some things. I also have recently received bad news that's could make me emotional. It's pretty devastating for me. So I'll circle back to that as well. In my last video, I had mentioned that I had surgery it's called a Nissan I'll try saying that again. It's called a Nissan fundoplication, but I had like a partial wrap, a 180 wrap with a floppy door, something like that. That is for a hiatal hernia. They had to do a hiatal hernia repair, and the surgery is to help stop oh my gosh, the brain fog, you guys, I'm sorry. It's been a week. Acid reflux. So like I had pain. I'm going to kind of stand up here for a second. I had pain in here for years where it was literally doubling me over all the time. Like, I would like rock a lot to deal with the pain. So every time my husband knew when I was in pain because he'd see me rock and he'd go, "You're hurting again, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was just begging for help, you know. It's not a fun surgery. It's a very difficult surgery. I mean, it's laparoscopic, but like you can't eat solids for weeks, and you have to fast prior to it. And I had to stay in the hospital. I think I was there 2 days. They wanted me to stay a third, and I said, "No way, I'm out of here. I want to go home and recover at home." I knew I would recover at home better. You don't get any sleep in the hospital. So they think that, you know, the issues with my hiatal hernia and acid reflux were also stemming from my rheumatoid arthritis, which means it can return. I no longer have the pain that I was having where I was showing you in here. Like I did the odd time I do, but nothing like I did before. And again, my tests for this prior to this didn't show how big the hernia was. It showed a small hernia, and it was not a small hernia. So anyway, I'm doing better that way. I still get some acid reflux, but I'm not going through that surgery again. You know, I'm not even letting the surgeon know. Not to mention I couldn't stand that surgeon. But I'm going to go into a whole video, another video at some time about doctors. Because, oh my gosh. So I had that, which they think was autoimmune based as well. And then my toes. So I had the chelectomy on both feet back to back. Then I had fusions on both toes back to back. Like I said, I'm still recovering from one. The first one that I had the fusion on still hurts more than it should. The one that I'm recovering from, this is where I'm going to give you some of the bad news that I've gotten. I thought I was prepared for it because I thought I knew what to expect. Well, it was a whole other kind of pain. So different from my right foot, right from the beginning. And I was like, this is weird. Like they put me in like a half cast for 2 weeks until I get the stitches out and I take my own stitches out too. Because I can't stand the pain when they do it. When I do it, I use numbing cream so I can get them out with less pain. So I take them out at the 2-week mark and they don't mind apparently. But anyway, it was a whole other different kind of pain. And it wasn't too long till I realized this isn't just surgical pain, this is nerve pain that I'm having. Like, I am not kidding when I tell you that I felt like I was being stabbed with nails in my foot all the time. And other pain that went with it that is nerve pain. It's not normal surgical pain, and pins and needles, and just, it was horrific pain. And I shouldn't say was, it is still. I don't know why I didn't say anything to the doctor sooner than I did, because I just figured this is how this one's gonna heal, you know, and you don't always feel listened to by the doctors, right? So anyway, at one point I just got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore, and I called his office and I asked if they could give me a prescription for lidocaine cream to help with the nerve damage or the nerve pain. And you know, a couple phone calls back and forth, and they're like, "Is the nerve pain from the surgery?" And I said yes. And she said, "Just so we can get this sorted out." And then I never heard it from her again. I'm like, you know. So what's the point of calling? But my next follow-up with the surgeon, while I was sitting on the bed dangling my feet, just, you know, waiting for him. I had my socks off and whatnot. And when he came in, he all of a sudden came in and he's like, "I'm very concerned about your foot." And I'm like, what? You know, it was really purple, and he said, "You haven't noticed?" And I don't even remember what answer I gave him. But I didn't think anything of it because my other foot was purple while it was healing too. you know, so I just figured it was part of the healing process. And then he felt it and he's like, it's cold. He said, and I said, well, I have had a lot of nerve pain. I called you about it, about lidocaine. And he said, I know. And I'm thinking, I wish he would have addressed it, but he didn't. He said, I think you have CRPS. I was just stunned. CRPS stands for chronic regional pain syndrome. No, sorry, complex regional pain syndrome. And it's serious. And it's known as a suicide disease because it's so painful, people can't live with it. And some people even beg to have, my doctor actually told me this part, surgeon, they actually beg to have their limb amputated because they can't take the pain anymore. And so I was in shock, like I've heard of chronic regional pain syndrome or complex regional pain syndrome. I keep getting those words mixed up. I've known a couple other people to have it and I've seen what it's done to them. And so I just came home shocked and, told my husband, and both of us were kind of like, I think it's just nerve pain. Like my other foot was purple like this too, when I was recovering and whatnot, So for now in our minds, it was just nerve pain or for the time. And then the last time I had another follow-up with my surgeon recently, like last Friday, which was, what's today, Monday? So about 3 days ago, I had a follow-up with my surgeon and I was kind of nervous, but thinking, okay, the color is better, the temperature of my foot is better, kind of like how my other foot healed, as it healed, the color got better. I'm gonna be good to go. I'm gonna be okay. So I go in and talk with him and he confirms the diagnosis that I have complex regional pain syndrome. Sorry, I told you this might make me cry. I don't know how much any of you know about this disease, but it is scary. It's known to spread. There's not much known about it. There's not much in the way of treatments, and the treatments out there don't really help much. And for me right now, I can get a sock on and I can slip a soft slipper on to walk where I need to walk. But then if I'm sitting, I gotta get that slipper off because the pain is unbearable. Like the softest little bit of touch is unbearable. So I can't get shoes or boots on, or if I do, then I'm in agony. The only thing that I can get away with if I go out right now is a air cast, and I don't last long in that either because the complex regional pain syndrome is sort of in my heel for some reason too. It actually was from the beginning. In fact, I pulled the half cast off before the 2-week mark because I couldn't stand the pain in my heel and I thought the cast was causing it. So, it's been 8 weeks like this now, and I still, not as often, but I still get the stabbing pain, like I feel like I'm being stabbed by a nail or a knife right into my foot, and the pins and needles are almost always there, and then the hypersensitivity, like the slightest touch is what causes me so much pain. Like putting a blanket over my foot is, I can't really. And now, like, I need, the hardware in both my toes, like where I had the fusion, so the plates and the screws, I need them taken out. And now I can't have the surgeries. All surgery has been halted because surgery is known to spread complex regional pain syndrome. So now I'm living with the pain of CRPS and the pain that the plates are causing in my feet. And there's a possibility that the plate in my CRPS foot could be irritating the nerve. So my left foot, which is a CRPS foot, it's not fully healed yet. Like it's not fully fused. They're not fully sure if the bone graft has taken yet or not. So it's not an option to even get the hardware out yet until they're sure everything is fused and the bone graft is not my body's not rejecting it and all that. But when I get to that point, I'm gonna have to make the decision if I want to risk the surgery to get the plate out in case it is also irritating the nerve. I desperately need it out of my right foot. So all these surgeries were supposed to be smooth sailing and, you know, fairly routine, and, you know, recovery's not easy, but have turned into nightmares. And on top of it, I can't get them fixed now because it could cause a CRPS to spread. And this even relates to dental work. Like, I need to see a dentist and get dental work done, and dental work can also cause things to spread, the CRPS to spread. So I'm like, I don't know how I feel right now. I'm sad and I'm in shock, and it's just like another thing after all the years of battling with osteo and rheumatoid and epilepsy and losing my bladder and battling doctors. I really need to do a video on that. It's just been hard. Getting this new diagnosis that is crippling me and could potentially permanently cripple me. I still fight every day. I still find ways to work out 5 days a week because I just, for my own health, my own mental health, I need to, and for my body, I need to. So yeah, that's the bad news, the CRPS, and then the fact that all my surgeries that I desperately still need are now on hold. And that's at least 3 of them, if not 4 of them, that I still need are all on hold indefinitely till we figure out the CRPS. So I'm still in pain on my right foot after the 2 surgeries that were supposed to fix it. I'm in excruciating pain with my left foot, and I still have surgical pain too that I don't even know if that's normal. And then the surgeon has also told me that there could be other things causing the pain that the surgery he did didn't fix. So I'm like, I don't know. I've been very emotional this last week as a result of all this. I usually pick myself up after a while and move on with what I got, but right now I'm just letting myself feel it, I guess. I'm sad and I'm scared and I'm very weary, and I don't know if it's the surgeries or the pain or a combination of everything, that I'm just very tired all the time. I couldn't. Yesterday my husband and I cleaned the house together. It's the first time I wasn't able to finish vacuuming the whole house myself. And that made me sad. So, yeah. If you want to know more about CRPS, let me know in the comments, and I'll pull up more information for you guys on it and how actually horrific it can be. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to tell you. At least the Nissan Fun surgery helped with that pain. As far as my joints with the rheumatoid arthritis, they're, like I said in other videos, just moving around. There was like a week and a half where I could hardly use my right wrist, and right now I'm okay today with my rheumatoid, but I feel my osteo. So that's where I'm at. That's the update. And I said this was going to be, you know, this, oh shoot, what do you call it? Rheumatoid arthritis is going to be the good, bad, and the ugly. So this is kind of the ugly. And I'm sorry, I don't want to bring anybody down, but this is reality. And I want you guys to see the reality of what this can do. It causes a lot of complications. I didn't even get into the complications that I dealt with from the just out of surgery. I wanted to do that. It's getting really long, this video, but maybe maybe I can tell you, I came out of one surgery with eye damage, and the nurses, rinsed my eye out, but that's all they did. They ignored it the rest of the time and sent me home that way. And the pain that my eye was in was worse than the surgery pain for the next couple of days. And I still have an issue with it I haven't had looked at because I just got too much going on. The nurses, they just ignored me. So there was that complication. And then I know there was 3 of them, and I'm remembering 2 right now. Another really bad one, which they ignored me, and I got sent home in this state. For one of my surgeries, I had a spinal, I forget what you call it. Sorry, I gotta think for a minute. I was spinal anesthetic, so I was frozen through my spine down for my surgery, and then they just sedated me enough that I didn't know what was going on because I didn't want to know. I told them I didn't want to know. And that led to a spinal fluid leak that lasted 3 days. I was so sick I couldn't go to the hospital. Like, I was so sick I couldn't even sit up. My head pounded so bad that I could hardly move, and I was nauseous, which this spinal anesthetic was actually supposed to help me avoid. I was really sick, and they knew I was having spinal fluid leak symptoms before they sent me home, and they sent me home anyway. So that was horrific. I mean, I didn't feel my foot for the first 3 days because of the agony of a spinal fluid leak. If you've ever had one, you know. And it was very scary. We didn't know what to do. I was too sick to go to the hospital. Didn't really want to call an ambulance, but we were getting to that point. If it had gone another day, we would have. And when I told my surgeon, he said that, wow, he said, we would normally have fixed that in the first 24 hours. I said, but I was so sick I couldn't even get to the hospital. And they said, your nurses sent me home that way. And he was very apologetic, but what can he do now? So there was the eye damage, the spinal fluid leak. I had a burn on my leg. And I had a numb tongue. I don't know if they had like the thing that they put in you for breathing during surgery sitting on my tongue the wrong way. I had no feeling in the tip of my tongue. Thankfully that came back, but it's just like every time I go in for surgeries, I come out with an injury or a complication that was never there before. And now CRPS. So if I could figure out editing, because as I mentioned in my first video that I'm just teaching myself editing, if I can figure out how to edit this in, I will leave some pictures of my foot surgeries at the end of this video. But just know some of them might be graphic, so if you don't want to see them, they'll probably come about the 25-minute mark-ish. So yeah, I'm going to try and leave some pictures in for you guys. Bear with me because I'm just learning to edit. So if there aren't pictures, it's because I couldn't get them in there. Yeah, so I better end this. It's really long this time. And I will end in telling myself this, and you guys, there is hope, and hope is a good thing. Thanks if you listen to the end of this video. So this is September 11th, 23, and this is where the day that it became a little more bearable for me to walk on my left toe fusion. I think I'm about 7 weeks post-op here. Today's literally the first day I can bear full weight without wincing and pain. It's still sore, and I have nerve pain that I'm dealing with now too that could be permanent, so that's difficult. But I'm not wincing in pain to bear full weight now. I see my doctor for a follow-up tomorrow. See, now it's starting to hurt. I can't walk too far yet. It affects the nerve pain, and yeah, it's gonna take a bit, but this is a good day compared to the others that I've tried.